If anybody calls it one for the purists, it will be an insult to the purists. Similarly, goalless at the RSC, where Waterford are taking on a much-changed Cork City in the last 16 of the EA Sports Cup. A quarter-final with Sligo awaits the winners of this one. We must have a winner tonight as well. While sticking with football, Wes Hoolahan says it's time for him to move on after announcing he's to leave Norwich City. The former Republic of Ireland playmaker has made 351 appearances for the Championship club. He moved there from Blackpool in 2008. Norwich today called him a club legend and will grant him a testimonial at the end of the current season. While Leinster say that any move from the province involving Joey Carbery or Ross Byrne will be down to the player in question. It was reported at the weekend that one of the understudies to Jonathan Sexton will be heading for Ulster at the insistence of the IRFU. Well, Sean O'Brien says he's glad he's been afforded the time to recover from his shoulder injury. The Leinster flanker will miss the rest of the season after undergoing surgery last Friday. O'Brien says he's been fighting his own body both physically and mentally. While Fergus McFadden's also a doubt for that Champions Cup final, he's definitely out of Saturday's Pro 14 trip to Connacht, having sustained a hamstring injury in the win over the Scarlets. While in the snooker, Barry Hawkins leads Stuart Carrington by 7 frames to 5 in a nervy first round encounter at the World Championships in Sheffield. On the other table at the moment, Ricky Walden is 4-1 up on Luca Bressel of Belgium. Earlier, Sean Murphy became the third world champion to suffer a first round exit this year at the Crucible. The 2005 champion Murphy fell to a 10-9 loss to the world number 51 Jamie Jones. Meanwhile, Mark Allen, the only Irish involvement in the final stages, set up a last 16 meeting with Mark Selby's conqueror Joe Perry. Allen this morning completed a 10 frames to 5 victory over Liam Highfield.
Cheers, Richie. Football Show.
The Football Show on Off the Ball.
Brought to you by the Boyle Sports app. Cash out and in-play betting available in the App Store and Google Play Store.
I'm prepared to do anything I can to play for my country again.
Do it then. What about your start to the game?
It wasn't bad, was it?
Why should an honest answer be a mistake?
How can a modern day manager not have a mobile phone?
Why should he?
Goodison. Welcome along to the Football Show. 0-0 there, 50 minutes on the clock. I was just flicking through the internet there, Kev, Twitter, and it alerted me to the fact, Balls.ie, that this night, 15 years ago, John O'Shea nutmegged Luis Figo at Old Trafford.
Is that right? Yeah. Yeah. I saw that today. It was the night that Ronaldo scored, wasn't it? I think
Hat-trick.
Wasn't it? Hat-trick. Yeah, I saw that one today. Actually, yeah, it's brilliant, wasn't it? Yeah.
Great moment for John O'Shea.
Brilliant. Yeah, lovely.
Oh, we've had a goal at Goodison. Looks like Theo Walcott based on the celebrations. Wayne Rooney's over giving him a high five. This is Everton 1, Newcastle 0. They're down the right-hand side here, Kev.
Yeah, Iosi Prejudice had a really good chance for Newcastle, missed it, but then it's actually Balassi gets himself into a wide position, puts a good ball over to the far post, comes back, a little bit messy really before it falls to Theo Walcott, and Theo Walcott just gets it back onto his right foot and manages just to get the strike away. So it comes through a few bodies, so that's it. Yeah, Everton 1, Newcastle 0.
So we've much to talk about. You're going to be watching the game. You're at Anfield tomorrow?
I am, yeah. Okay,
you're on Cocom with TV3.
Yeah,
so
looking forward to that, yeah.
Huge game in store, and we'll chat about that later on in the show. But Michael Owen was in here yesterday. You were over on Match of the Day, Judy. Michael Owen came in, so we recorded a sit-down chat with him yesterday morning. He was in Dublin yesterday to attend an exclusive event which was hosted by Cadbury, official snack partner to the Premier League. It was on the Chocolate Factory in Dublin. Some very lucky Super Value and Centric competition winners from all over the country had a meet and greet with him and a Q&A session, and sat down and watched a live Premier League game with him. The 2017-18 season marked the first year of Cadbury's 3-year partnership with the Premier League. So Michael Owen was over and he was in very good form, and we touched on a few various things. It occurred to me on the way in, it was 20 years since World Cup 98 when he burst on the scene. So we get into all that and a few other interesting bits and pieces besides. So here's how we got on. Michael Owen, you're very welcome.
Thank you very much.
I was looking at your life now, and it includes punditry. People will know that, I'm sure, because they see you. A management company where you represent some younger players. You've got sponsors. You've got the horse racing business, physiotherapy business, 4 kids, and latterly being a jockey and trying not to fall off a horse. So that's busy.
You've done some good research. Yeah, I didn't know I had that much going on in my life, but and then and people ask me if I'm going to go into management as well at some point, which is a no-go with all those things in my life, as you say.
What's your main thing there?
My main thing, I think, obviously raising 4 kids is pretty special. I think my main work is within football, looking after or advising some of the, hopefully, next generation of players is very exciting. And I love my television work as well. And then when I get time, apart from doing all that, then there's nothing better than going down to my stables and running the rule over all our horses and meeting all the owners and things like that. It's football and racing probably take most of my life.
Yeah, and working with the younger players trying to make a breakthrough in the game, is the hope that in 5-10 years time you'll have players who are elite Premier League players in that stable?
Yeah, that's the theory. It's very hard nowadays to break through the ranks as a footballer. Much harder than when I was coming through. So to give mainly parents in many ways as well, but also the lads a little bit of advice on how to do it, what to do, when to do it, and of course work with the clubs as well. It's not an agency, so to speak. It's more of a management company that works with the club. So we tend to stick to the Northwest, where there's obviously some superpowers of football, and try to, as I say, work with the clubs, with the lads to hopefully make that breakthrough, which is, as I say, becoming even harder nowadays.
Yeah, no doubt. I saw you racing. I'm sure a lot of people did recently for the first time at Ascot, I think, was where you made your debut, and I thought, this is a guy who's missing the buzz.
Yeah,
this is a guy chasing some adrenaline.
He's getting desperate. No, it was when I retired, I thought, I started putting on a few pounds, and I thought, I've got to do something, get off my backside and do something. And of course there's the charity aspect, so I ended up running the London Marathon, which is coincidentally this time of the year. And then a couple of years on, I thought, I'm getting itchy feet again, I've got a new challenge to do, and we thought long and hard about what to do, and someone suggested, well, why don't you ride a horse? And as much as I've been in the industry for a long time and know plenty about it, I've never sat on a horse in my life. Obviously, being a footballer, we were never allowed to, so I thought, well, that's quite a good challenge. I had to lose £22 in 40 days. I lost nothing in the first 20 days because I didn't really try, and then I thought, right, this is getting serious now. And I literally never sat on a horse in my life. I had to learn in 40 days intensive training how to ride. I still really don't know how to ride, day to day how most people would.
Okay.
But I obviously know how to ride jockey style. So it was a huge challenge, and again raised quite a lot of money for a variety of charities, but the saddle is firmly put in the cupboard now, and I won't be getting back on.
Oh, is that right? Well, I was going to ask if it sparked off a new love affair for you, but not really.
Well, the love affair with racing remains, and I've got a newfound appreciation of what jockeys do and what riders in general up and down the country do in
but
the
you won't
riding
get in the gallops every weekday.
But I've not sat on a horse since I crossed the line, and I probably won't. Listen, I'll probably put on another 2 stone and think, right, you need to lose some weight, and I need a challenge or need to. But at the minute, it was just a something for charity, and also it gave me a lot of pleasure.
Right. Okay. So you did enjoy it.
Yeah.
Not to make us all feel old, but I mean, it is. I'm sure lots of people are saying this to you at the moment. It's suddenly 20 years since World Cup '98.
Yeah.
It's a terrible thing to say now, but there's younger listeners and viewers who don't really remember it, which is kind of the terrible thing. Do you remember that month well?
I do. Yeah, I do. I mean, the terrible thing is some people don't remember it. Some people weren't even born when I scored it. Some of these lads that we just referred to that I'm mentoring, let's say, at the moment, half of them weren't even born when I scored that goal, which is quite scary.
Keeps your ego in check.
It does, yeah. Yeah. I do remember. I remember the World Cup being a really hard tournament in terms of very little fun. We weren't allowed to see families. We didn't have mobile phones back in those days, which is another extraordinary
or box
thing.
Sets or internet. It was
nothing.
A slower time to occupy.
We were sat in the hotels. The manager wouldn't let the Glenn Hoddle at the time wouldn't let us have newspapers or do anything. So we were literally sat in the hotel all day, every day, training once a day, but no contact with home, no nothing. So it was quite hard, being away for what is the pre-tournament sort of 2 or 3 weeks, and then the tournament itself. So I remember that thinking, I'm missing home, but this is so important, so much fun being obviously in the England squad, and I just loved the football, the buzz, the training at the time. So I mean, the whole tournament was a great experience. But I remember it being almost like you were in prison for most of it.
Yeah, and I mean, you were 18. Obviously, you just burst on the scene in a huge way. Tunisia, I think you come on, and then there's the Romania game, you get that goal, and I guess Argentina is where you make your name. Can you even explain those few moments where you go from a very promising superstar within England to kind of globally making your name? The goal, I guess.
Yeah, it was strange because I didn't expect it. Shearer Sheringham was the combination that took us through Euro '96.
Yeah,
but apart from those players, you're looking at the most astounding group of centre forwards. Your Ian Wrights, your Robbie Fowlers, Andy Coles, Les Ferdinands.
Lots of them couldn't get near the squad, and they were scoring 25 goals a year.
And that's the amazing thing about nowadays. You score 10 goals in the Premier League and you're English, and you're probably in the squad.
Yeah.
We had players that were scoring 30 goals in a season and couldn't get near the squad. It was astounding, the quality. So to break that Shearer Sheringham, or to go past the rest of them, and to break the Shearer Sheringham partnership was quite something. But I went to the World Cup expecting to be an impact player, I must admit.
I saw your interview with Stan Collymore actually recently, and Hoddle did say that to you in La Manga.
Yeah, he says you're not going for the ride.
You'll be involved. That's a great thing to hear.
It is, but of course, being greedy, then I don't want to just be involved. I want to be starting every game. I want to be playing 90 minutes. I want to be captain. I want to be taking the penalties. If you haven't got that attitude, then you'll never survive.
Did you, in hindsight, have a really, and I mean in a good way, a real arrogance about you because you'd literally been the best player in the country right the way through the age grades? I mean, you were the main man.
Absolutely, you can't do anything. You can't get to the top of any profession, or get into an England team or something without having an inflated opinion of yourself, which is very hard to say and very hard to look back and think, cool, that's how I felt about other people. When I crossed that line, I didn't even know the opponent. We were playing Argentina. I'd heard of Batistuta because he was a great player. I didn't have a clue. I didn't study that they will be worried about me. Right. Was this sort of type of attitude. It's a horrible thing. It is really hard, and I would never sort of recommend it on people because it turns you into a bit of a monster.
Yeah.
And then you've got to form back into normal life as well when you're off the pitch. So you live in two separate lives, but unless you think you're the bee's knees, let's say in a polite way, then you will never be able to run at someone and treat them with disdain and disrespect and anything else. You'd say, well, you have the ball, mate. It's you've got to look at them as if you're better than them. Otherwise, as I say, you wouldn't even challenge them.
And the goal against Argentina, which again any younger viewers can quickly YouTube, I mean, that entire goal from the first touch to spin the first man behind you and the way you ran it, I think it was Ayala, that is dripping with disdain. That is just aggressive. I'm going for the heart of everyone in front of me here. That's what that is.
But I knew no different. And the beauty of being a kid is that, and being in my situation as well, because, putting it into sort of perspective, as you mentioned, at 14, I was breaking every record for England. At 15, the same. 16, I played at every level, broke virtually every record. So it wasn't like I was, a new kid on the block. My career was a ball of flames early on and fizzled. As opposed to some other players, they take time and they're better when they're 30 and 32 and they last longer. I retired at 33. So I was all about exploding onto the scene. I'd never had any failure. As I say, I'd scored in every game, every debut I ever played. Why would this be, and I'm talking about this as my mindset back then, why would this be any different? I don't need to know who I'm playing against, just give me the ball. That's all you need to do. was obviously my mindset, and unfortunately that mindset changes over time, because when you're a bit older, you have a couple of injuries, you're a bit slower, you start thinking, am I as quick as him? Am I as strong as I'll play on the left centre half because the other one's a bit better? And you start worrying, and I'd never been like that all my life, and that's when panic stations start, and you just think, and that's when you don't enjoy football, and you're almost happy to retire in the end because you're just not the player that you were.
There's so much interesting stuff in that. To finish on the Argentina goal then for a second, when you spin the first man and you turn around and you see one left, you just think this is made, like I can't be stopped here. Is that what goes through your mind, or is it instinct, or is it...
Yeah, when I took my first touch, then of course scoring a goal was not on my mind. It was trying to wriggle free and penetrate their defence. Really, I'd just run at them and 5 minutes earlier and burst past them and got brought down for a penalty. So I knew they were pretty scared, and obviously Ayala's position, about 40 yards behind everyone else, probably just was the giveaway that he was scared of me running in behind him. But as soon as I took my first touch and lifted my head, then I thought, this is he's got no chance.
He was too deep.
He was too deep, and I had a head of steam, and I didn't. I mean, as it was, I was quick, but I didn't even need to be fast to be able to build up a head of steam to run past him. And of course, taking your next touch is all about giving yourself the best chance to score. So of course, anybody can take a touch way to the right, but you're going to give yourself a bad angle, and so it's taking it not close enough so he can tackle you, not far enough away so you're going to make the chance hard. So of course the touch was the important thing to then present the best possible chance of the finish, and obviously all went fine.
Did you know Paul Scholes was trying to sneak in?
I caught him in the corner of my eye late on, but he was I think I nipped him just in front of him. But yeah, by that time my momentum was going, and obviously I was confident.
I saw you say in that same interview that you did recently with Stan Collymore that I think when your parents said to you under the stand after the match, because obviously the tournament's over so you can see family again, that maybe, kid, your life has probably changed even more than we realise. And I suppose it had in many ways. You never seemed to go off the rails. You never seemed to be pictured smoking, drinking. I mean, you either had an incredibly mature head on you and genuinely did avoid all the trappings, or you had very good people around you who maybe kept the press away at the right times and let you live life a little bit. Which was it?
Yeah, definitely an older head on my shoulders. Right. And it's not right, it's not wrong. I almost have lived my life the opposite way around, because I'm not necessarily an angel. I'll have a drink with the best of them. I'll stay up till 5 with the best. But nowadays, when I retired, it was almost like I was doing things now or doing things then. As soon as I retired for the last few years, and my mates are like, just go to bed. You're wanting to stay out, and you want to go out, and you want to do this, and you want to do. And I've lived my life. I've missed all that. And I'm almost thinking, this is great. Well, they've grown out of that. They're mature now, and I'm almost living that a bit now. What I missed out on, whether that be going the races and everyone else goes home, and come on, let's go into town after, and 5 o'clock later you're still in town.
And do you regret? I mean, I guess it's the right thing to do on paper to postpone the kind of wilder years, or the more fun-loving years. Do you regret not doing some of it earlier, or do you think it was the right thing to do?
Oh, not at all. I didn't even think twice about wanting to do it back then.
Football was just so clearly the priority.
Yeah, absolutely. I wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't like I was having to suppress an appetite to get out there, and I wasn't feeling either that I was missing out, because all my mates were out in town partying and doing what they're doing. And I didn't feel as if I was missing out. It was just a given. My mates wouldn't even think about asking me out at night, or it was just,
this is the way it is.
This is the way it is. This is my life, and I'm not home often, and I'm not this, and I do that, and I go to bed at a certain time, and I eat this, and so I can't come out for dinner because I've got to eat this. And it was all about the next game. And then once you score a hat-trick and you think, oh no, there's another game in 3 days, I've got to be bang on again, otherwise people will say the hat-trick was a fluke, or he's losing it. So it was just relentless.
So the appetite, you weren't having to quench the appetite to do it. It never even entered your head. That's very interesting. The other thing you said there was you got to almost manage this parallel life where you're a huge ego and you think you're the bee's knees, and then return to normal life and be just one of your family and just a normal fella around the table having a cup of tea with friends. Did that ever get out of kilter? It must have been hard at times when you were genuine, real Ballon d'Or territory and just scoring goals for fun. It must have been difficult to just be a normal fella at times.
Yeah, it is, but it's not. Listen, I'd lived a normal life. My mum and dad had no money. We were, we lived on an estate. I, had to find my way through to have certain things. So I was a normal kid. The problem is people treat you
like a king everywhere you go. I'd say it was. So
you even come home and your brother sort of looks at... I came home from the World Cup and one of my brothers almost looked at me a little bit funny. I just thought,
I'm still Michael Owen.
Exactly, and people treat you very differently because you can kick a bag of air around well.
We have our perspective off, don't we, in society?
We're all normal people.
Did you that? I would hate that. I would hate to come home and my brother to think, God, you're different now.
Yeah, it was strange, but I'm talking about everyone, everybody. Apart from, your mum, your dad, and probably your brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
Most people look at you different and treat you different and say different things, and you want people to laugh at you and take the mick out of you, just like they used to. So
can you feel a bit detached then from society?
Yeah,
kind of lonely?
You can, and you can understand why then footballers will almost be matey with each other, and they will act a little bit different or be a little bit different to other people, and so I feel as if I've conformed back into normal life, and I think if that's the right phrase, but I also feel as if I could live two lives. I could play up to the star attraction, let's say. I could cope with the pressure. I could sign 1 million autographs and do the fame thing. But I could also then, to get to Liverpool from my house, you have to go through the Mersey Tunnel. As soon as I get through the tunnel, I used to feel, right, now I'm out the city, I'm out my job now, and now I'm a normal lad again with my mates, with my family and all the rest. But as I say, it's the biggest problem for most footballers, and the biggest reason they change, let's say, is because of how people act towards and not how they are.
That's very interesting. I could imagine it's very difficult to make genuine new friends outside of football.
Oh well, I've got one mate. I've got a lot of people that, my brother's mates and a few people that I know and whatever, but I've got one mate, and that was the hardest thing, that you can't really... I mean, my mate now and my wife and my family are all laugh at me saying, you now talk to more people. I used to sit in the corners. I used to go, even if I went racing or something, I'd sit in the corner, and I'd be... If anyone used to come up to me, I would be very guarded and sort of short with them in a way, not on purpose.
Yeah.
And now they laugh at me saying, I'll talk to anybody. I go around and I'm very, very sociable. I think I'm naturally sociable, but I couldn't be.
I totally understand it. I mean, how could you not be suspicious of anyone coming up to talk to 23-year-old Michael Owen? I mean, they have an agenda. They're kids. They
don't like you, do they? Necessarily, they don't know
like the
you.
Brand.
They don't know you. So it's always important to be nice and to have a photo.
Sure.
But from their point of view, that's what they want. They just want to say hello or have an autograph or have a photo.
They want to go and tell their mates they talk to you.
Exactly, and for me, how can I sort of have a normal conversation? Hello, mate. How many kids have you got? Where'd you go on holiday? I can't have because they don't want that. They just it's a strange relationship.
What's Gaza really like? That's what
exactly. They ask questions that are just treating you like something else, which is it's natural, but it's very hard for you living it to distinguish.
I can imagine. I can see how then you hang out with your football mates who aren't as impressed with the fact you can kick a football.
And these football mates aren't necessarily your mates.
No, do you keep in touch with many?
A few, yeah. I work with a few, and it's like any other industry. You meet colleagues along the way. You're probably really matey with 5 or 6 that you've met along the way. Another 100 or 200 you'd say, oh, I liked him and he's a colleague, and then you'd say another half a dozen you probably didn't get on with. And that's just like any walk of life.
There's 2 other things I wanted to touch on, if you don't mind. So Real Madrid was very interesting. I know it was just 1 year, but I saw you say as well in a piece here on the Telegraph a while back when Gareth Bale was moving, that the one question every player you played with subsequently asks is, not what was it like with England or what was it like here or there, it's what was it like at Madrid. It just has this thing everyone wants to know, and you went at the time when it was Zidane and Figo and Raúl and Beckham and Roberto Carlos. The Galactico thing was in full bloom. In that same piece for the Telegraph, you talked as well, and it's really interesting that we don't think of the human side too often, but that year in Madrid, so much of it is you and your wife and a very young child in a hotel, and it's bloody miserable.
If only people knew. As you say, the human side, people just naturally look at you, and listen, we all judge. I can watch you on the television now and think, and just from what you say, I've got no other background information on you. I can only judge on what you say, how you're saying it, whether you see him a nice fella or whether I don't know.
Yeah.
So you can only judge on what is in front of you, whether it's an article you've read or how you're playing or whether you smile when you're kicking the ball in the goal or whatever. But I can tell you, the normal, the day-to-day life, you see me for 90 minutes on a football pitch. Well, how many hours apart from that are you living your normal life? It is, Madrid was such a hard challenge for family reasons. Naively, I mean, I wasn't that good at geography back in the day. I was thinking, right, Spain, it's hot weather, there'll be palm trees, there'll be a beach, I didn't know there was the highest capital city in Spain. It gets blooming cold it's in the middle, so there's no, it's a business, it's a city, it's a beautiful city, but it's a city. So, living in a hotel, me playing in the Champions League, in La Liga, I'm away twice a week, no matter what. Then we have to stay in a hotel the day before each game. So I'm from 9 o'clock, so we train in the morning, then I'm off in a hotel all the day before, then all the day after of the day of the game. Every game in Madrid is a night game for television reasons, or it was back when I was. So for 4 days solid, I wouldn't be at home.
And your wife's not.
And my wife can't drive. On the wrong side of the road, as we call it.
Yeah.
She's in a business hotel with not very much around, and she's having to occupy in a room. Fine, it's a nice enough room, but in a hotel, eating the same food off the menu, not knowing it, no friends, no car, no nothing. So, and here's me on the 3 days that I'm not working hard, is your training, and then Ronaldo says, "Should we go for 9 holes of golf?" And I'm, oh God, I want to be mates with. I need to sort of. But I know my wife is crying in the hotel, waiting for me to come home. And when I drive around the corner, my daughter's only 2. She's screaming, "Daddy's back home!" And so I wanted to make it nice for my family, but I knew my wife and daughter were really struggling, and I wanted to be part of the team. And so, 6 months later into the season, I'm still in the bloody hotel. And then I can eventually find a house for the last sort of 3 months. But by that time, the damage was done, and my wife was adamant we had to go home.
Had to go, yeah. It was very tough to play your best stuff. I mean, your record was pretty good in the end for that team with those players. 41 appearances, you still scored 18 goals, 15 starts. So you were actually doing pretty well. But I mean, even if you finished training at midday or 2 o'clock, and you might think about staying on and doing some shooting practice, I would presume your wife is calling you saying, get the hell back to this hotel room and take the kid for a while. Exactly.
That's exactly how it was. Restaurants don't open till 9, 10 o'clock over there, so, we were 7 o'clock at night, the lights off and the television on mute and daughter going to sleep, and me and my wife just waiting for 2 or 3 hours until we got tired to drop off. I mean, it was you couldn't go out for dinner, you couldn't make friends, we didn't have anyone out there to look after our daughter. So 7 o'clock, as I say, lights off, and we're just lying there for a few hours until we drop off. It was hard, and until you get your own house, it was really hard. But as you say, the football side of things was great. I mean, I scored a load of goals. I found it really much easier than the Premier League. Of course, we're in possession all the time. Sure. We were the best team.
You're
probably
bossing
got
everyone.
4 or 5 hard games a year. So, it was quite easy. It was quite slow build up, and then we had the best players. We'd score loads of goals. You couldn't fail but score a few.
I can imagine, because I wondered from afar if that was a dysfunctional dressing room in some ways, the Galactico culture, if it ever got out of control. It always felt like the manager was a lame duck.
Well, I had 3 managers in my one season.
So they were all lame ducks.
They were all, yeah.
So that's a strange dynamic where the dressing room really is running the place.
Yeah, and I mean, the president bought me, so I know that. You know that going in there, does the manager? You always question, does the manager fancy me to start with? Because the president's bought you, and he assembles most of the squad. So that was strange. In terms of the dressing room, it's like any other dressing room. You get groups here, groups there. I don't care how much team bonding you do and all the rest of it. You're always going to have some friends more so than others. There's always a pecking order. So there was a Spanishy group. The Raúls, the Salgados, the Gutis, players like that. And then, of course, Ronaldo, Roberto Carlos being Brazilian. There was another little group. So, I mean, there was no problems in there. It was absolutely fine. But of course, some huge names in there.
Yeah, surreal. Who stood out in particular? I mean, there was so many phenomenal players. Was there anyone that you kind of came away thinking, God, that is very special?
Well, as a player, I was, taken aback by Zidane. Right. He was just off the scale in terms of ability, and not anything that he would do. It's not like he would go and blast a ball in from 30 yards in the top corner every time, but you just pass him the ball, and the way he takes a ball, the way it's almost like it's just on a string. The ball is on a string when he plays. It's always within a certain area, a certain distance of him. When he runs, it's almost like it's part of his body. It was just, and if you pass him the ball and he wanted to turn on a certain angle, he could just manipulate a ball and do it all in one movement, just amazingly well. Yeah. Strong, quick off the mark. You tried to get near him, and his arm would come out, and he just push you away and burst out. He was 10 yards away from you. He was really, really good. Top class. As a lad, I mean, as friends go, Figo was a cracking fella, but Ronaldo, the real Ronaldo, the Brazilian Ronaldo, he was one of a kind. He just wanted to play golf with me all the time and take my money, and yeah, he was
pretty tough to turn down golf with Ronaldo all the same. That is a what could have been moment. It's funny, I asked a few people, anything, Michael Owen's coming in this week, anything you want to hear him talk about? The number one thing was the move to Man United. Has that soured things for you with Liverpool fans to, like, you see, Twitter's no judge of anything. So no. I see the 200 maniacs on Twitter all the time. How has that gone down, do you feel, with Liverpool fans?
Well, of course it is what it is. There's always going to be some people disappointed. I can only look at it, I've got to live it, Yeah. People can flippantly say, oh, you're this or you're that, and then get on with their life, which is fine, but that comment or that feeling sort of sticks with me, doesn't it? So I've got to live that. All I can comfort myself with, I suppose, is that when I first set out, I got told Real Madrid want you, and I was and ahhing, and I thought, I've just got to try it. Yeah. I've got to try it.
That's the once in a lifetime.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'd be sitting there now saying I could have gone to Real Madrid, Yeah. So I thought, I'll do what Rushy did. He went to Juventus for a year, came back, and I thought I'll just go and sample it, and I'd love to come back. And that's what eventually I decided. I cried all the way to the airport. I didn't want to go necessarily, but I just thought, I've got to try this new experience, language, food, weather, league, playing in that white kit, new stadium. It's a life experience. So, but I can comfort myself with, as soon as I knew I was coming back, it was on the phone to Rafa Benitez. We met, we did this, we did that, we agreed. Liverpool said they'd pay X amount. Then Newcastle came into the party and just offered 6 million more than Liverpool, and Liverpool couldn't budge. And fair enough, they'd sold me for 8, and they would go to 10 as it was. So, Real Madrid said you're either staying here or you're going to Newcastle, to put it to put it blunt, and Liverpool couldn't budge. So I had no option either to stay at Madrid or go to Newcastle. My wife was desperate to go home, so we decided. But then in the Newcastle contract, we did things in there because, of course, they knew that I wanted to go to Liverpool, that I could have gone to Liverpool in different summers, or I could have left the club, let's say, for agreed fees. So at every point, the first year, then I do my knee in the World Cup, so I can't go back to Liverpool. The next year, speak again to the manager. We don't really need you. Torres is here. Next year, don't really need you. Suarez is here. All fine, they're brilliant players. So, time moves on. I'm not bitter. I'm not bothered in that way. That is life. They didn't need a goal scorer. They had one. So that was that. At every juncture, I tried to get back. We all wanted it to happen. Chairman, managers. I shook hands with Rafa Benitez, and we thought we were there, and then obviously the Newcastle deal came in, so that I couldn't, as I say, I couldn't get out of, because the Real Madrid had my contract. They told me that I had to go there. So, and then again, when I finished at Newcastle, Liverpool weren't in need. Suarez was there at the time, so I have to look at my options. I could have gone to one or two clubs, but nothing of the calibre of Manchester United. And of course I sat there thinking, oh, this is going to ruin a lot of what I've done in some people's eyes. But then again, Michael, you're not too old. You're going to be playing in the Champions League. You're going to be at the top of your game still. You might as well just retire. If you're going to say no to Manchester United, you might as well just, this is a great club with players that I played with for years and years with England, great lads, under a manager that was really successful. Yeah. I know people don't understand. They have the badge and they'll always, and I'd be the same. They're supporters of a football club, but when it's your career, if I offered you the top job at a great, you might be at the top job. Don't get me wrong, but people are always going to try to get better. If you work at Asda and Tesco's are down the road and they offer you more money and a better living condition, people do it. What's the difference between football and any other walk of life? I'm trying to be the best player I can be in a short period of time, and I would have walked to Liverpool any time, and they know that, and everyone knows that, bar a few idiots, as you say, on Twitter. Yeah. But in general, I did all I could, and I can't do any more, and circumstances just meant that I couldn't ever go back. So
yeah, it's interesting. Finally, you used the word, I comfort myself with that knowledge. So there is a degree of upset that maybe it's tainted the relationship a touch, that you kind of comfort yourself with that knowledge.
Oh, when I go back to Anfield and one or two people booed me, I mean, it was like a dagger in my heart for what I did for the club and how I felt about it, and I was still feeling, all my parents were obviously upset in the players' lounge after. It was the first time I went back with Newcastle, and that I can either continue to get upset with that all my life, or I can just resonate with it, or use it in my mind, or have a reason why and how and what. And as I say, the comforting factor for me is I know what happened at every stage, and probably a lot of people don't, and that's very hard as well, because when I'm still playing for Newcastle for 4 years and Manchester United for 4 years and Stoke for 3 years and Stoke for 1 year, I can't come out and say in front of Newcastle fans, oh yeah, I'm here, but I was desperate to go back to Liverpool.
Yeah,
so I've got to be professional, and I'm taking stick left, right and centre from Liverpool fans, but I've got to get on with my career as well, and okay, it never happened. Now I'm going to try 100% for who I'm playing for, and that's just what everyone would expect me to do. So it was almost a no-win situation, but I don't regret anything, because as I say, my intentions were there when I first set out to go to Real Madrid, and it just didn't happen after that. My career took me in a different path. Unfortunately, I could never get back despite my efforts and the club's efforts, and it's as simple as that. As you say, for the rest of it, for the odd minority that give me stick for it, well, it's easy for them to flippantly give me stick, but obviously it hurts me when it does happen, considering what I did.
I've kept you over time. That was fascinating. Brilliant. Yeah, really interesting. Thanks so much for coming in.
No problem. Great to meet you.
Football on Off the Ball.
Brought to you by the Boyle Sports app. Cash out and in-play betting available in the App Store and Google Play Store.
News Talk Breakfast.
Let's be blunt about this. Will giving free transport to students, will that actually help with the congestion problem?
Well, it might set them up with a more sustainable transport pattern that they would keep to when they leave college. I know UCD, for instance, is suffering a huge car park problem.
Students driving to college?
Loads of students driving to college.
Didn't happen in my day, Kieran.
The world has changed, Shane. The world has changed.
It has.
News Talk Breakfast, weekday mornings at 7.
In association with AIR.
Hear the full News Talk Breakfast podcast at newstalk.com and on the News Talk app.
Money smart? You'll love the new Smart Current account from Unpost. With a debit card, access to your account online, plus you'll earn money back into your Smart account when you spend with leading brands like Lidl, Intersport Elveries, Sunway, and when you pay directly with SSE Airtricity, Oxendales, Post Insurance and more. Open your Smart Current account today at the post office or see smartaccount.ie for details. It pays to be smart. Terms and conditions apply. See smartaccount.ie for details. The Unpost Smart Account Debit MasterCard is issued by Unpost. Unpost is authorised by the Minister for Finance to provide payment services and is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland in the provision of such services.
Hi, Kevin O'Brien here of Leinster Lightning and the Irish cricket team.
And I'm Laura Delaney, captain of the Irish women's cricket team.
Cricket is the perfect summer sport where new players are always welcome.
Cricket is one of the fastest growing sports in Ireland.
And with 42 clubs in Leinster, there's one near you.
And they're all on the Cricket Leinster website, cricketleinster.ie.
Cricket Leinster, you're welcome.
Off the ball. This is News Talk.
You're welcome back. So, interesting mix of
good chat, that.
Comments.
It was very good.
Paul McNulty on Facebook. My heart bleeds for the multi-millionaire. Money makes everything okay, isn't that right? That's what we've learned about our mental health.
It is, yeah. Money makes everything perfect.
Fun.
Everything perfect in your life.
To be fair to Paul, I don't know which part of it you were talking about when you were saying my heart bleeds for the multi-millionaire. Evan Lynch on Twitter. Hey guys, what a bloody super interview. So that's a different perspective.
I enjoyed that.
Somebody says, why didn't he get a house sooner in Madrid? Yeah, I don't know. I did wonder that as well, I must say. It didn't seem like the most difficult thing to do, especially if you have a few quid or if you have people at Madrid who can help you. I don't know why it took him 6 months to get a house, especially when the hotel was making him so miserable. It's not like a Jose Mourinho situation at the Lowry where he seems to love it there. Well, 6 months in a hotel room is
I'm judging it, I never played abroad, of course, but I'm judging it from when I would have gone down to or moved to different clubs. It would have been predominantly go on my own for a couple of weeks, 10 days, whatever it would be, and then while I'm staying in the hotel, given a few places, go and check a few places out. If you want to go and rent, which predominantly what I would have done, I would have rented for 6 months, get in there as quickly as possible, and then you can actually maybe down tools a little bit, I suppose, and take stock of things, and you think, well now in 6 months, 8 months' time, I'm going to try and maybe look for a place to buy. That's what in general would have done.
Yeah. Only bad things happen in hotels. Even Podrick Harrington says that to fellas coming on the PGA Tour. For your mental health, for your sanity, do not spend time in a hotel room.
I know, I used to get a bit guilty when I used to go away with my partner or even the kids. You know, it's such excitement getting away into a hotel, but it was the most... I was so disinterested, the most unexcitable thing possible to go into a hotel. And again, you look at it, it's spoilt and things like that, but I just used to hate them. I used to feel claustrophobic. I just didn't like being in hotels, didn't like the feel of them.
Yeah, so that was Michael Owen. I thought the stuff about trying to make friends as a famous person from when you're 18 on, I thought was very interesting. It must be a strange thing, I'm sure. Probably to a lesser extent, you would have had a touch of that. I mean, you're not Michael Owen coming on from a World Cup and England's top scorer, goal scoring number 10 and all that stuff. But I'm sure on some level you've got people coming up to you and you know they're just coming up to you purely to...
At times, not a lot to be fair, but here and there.
Just to ask you what Roy Keane's really like. They don't really want to be friends with you.
Yeah, that's it, yeah. I suppose some lads that I've known would have craved it as well, wouldn't they? Some lads would crave it, some lads enjoy that. From what Michael was saying there, he would have gone racing, sit in a corner and say nothing. And in fairness, I mean, I think most of the lads would. You just try and just go, if I go out for a drink, if I go out for a pint or something, I wouldn't necessarily go, shouting from the rooftop exactly.
Hey everyone, I'm here.
Just go sit in a corner, have a pint with your mates, isn't it? That's kind of what it is.
Okay, let's preview our Champions League week ahead then, as we usually do. Leon Blanche of Boyle Sports. Evening, Leon.
Good evening, Joe. How are you?
Very good. Hey, before we get into the two games tomorrow, is there any firm favourite emerging for the Arsenal vacancy?
Yeah, look, it seems to have settled down probably over the past 24 hours. There was a lot of different people getting backed. Brendan Rodgers found himself being favoured from probably Saturday up until Sunday evening, but certainly now Luis Enrique is the clear favourite at 5-2. We all know that he said he would take the job, and he opened up 14-1, so he's now only 2.5-1 to get the manager's job after Arsene Wenger. Ancelotti hasn't really budged much. He's second favourite at 4-1. I think Brendan probably distanced himself a little bit from the role. He's gone out to 7-1, and a man who's going to face Arsenal and Arsene Wenger, Simeone, the Atletico Madrid coach, he's still in there at 16-1, and some people reckon he'd be the perfect fit to follow Wenger at the Emirates, but all the money says it's going to be Luis Enrique.
It's an interesting one, that, really, when you say... Leon, did you say Carlos Ancelotti's third favourite? Is that what you said there?
He's second favourite.
You see, because
he's second favourite at 4-1. I suppose he has the experience, but if you're looking to build something, he's not getting any younger.
Doesn't fit into, I think, what Arsenal are trying to build there at all. It's certainly not one that I'd be looking at there. I'd feel I may be proven wrong on that, but it doesn't seem to me like he'd be the right sort of manager. Enrique,
a bit like Wenger, it feels like time is catching up with Ancelotti.
Yeah, that's it. To an extent. I don't think he's actually going to be on the training ground coaching players. I think that Arsenal side need coaching. The 1 to 11 needs coaching. Enrique will certainly do that as well. So it's interesting times. There were talk of even Tuchel the other week. Brendan Rodgers. Tuchel looks like he's going to PSG. Brendan Rodgers is kind of distancing himself. Personally, I couldn't see Brendan Rodgers getting that job. I just couldn't see him getting that. So it is the interesting times ahead. Enrique looks to me that looks a good shout, I think, really there, because I think in how he coaches the side and how he gets the best out of them, what he would say to players individually, I think it's the sort of manager that Arsenal would need. Yeah.
So Kev, you'll be at Anfield tomorrow. Everybody's massively looking forward to this game. It's going to be a huge occasion. Jurgen Klopp's asked the fans to behave themselves on the bus ride in.
Yeah.
Let Roma bus get through unscathed. So how do you see it going tomorrow then? How's this shaping up? How do Roma shape up for Liverpool?
Well, they are very much more of a direct side. I think they play 3 at the back. It's a 3-4-3 come 3-5-1-1 essentially is what they play. Daniel De Rossi will sit in front of the back 3. So essentially they're playing with 4 defensive minded players really. So it'd be difficult for Liverpool to try to maybe get the front 3 that we know in advanced positions, but the movement of that 3, that's the thing that I don't think that Roma will be able to deal with at times. I think they've got too much pace for Roma defensively. And it'll be maybe, you might see a bit more width coming from the 2 fullbacks. It would probably be Trent Alexander-Arnold. It'll probably be Andrew Robertson. Those 2 could be key players for Liverpool tomorrow night. They'll be playing high and wide. That might free up the 3 lads. And I think in general, I think Liverpool have got too much of them. I think I can't see Roma going to Anfield and winning. I think given their away form, they've got dreadful away form. I think it's no wins in 26 away from home in the Champions League. Connor, Joe, so it's an awful record they've got away from home, and that's the thing that's in my head now. I think I can't see them going to Anfield and winning.
Leon, I mean, nobody expected them to get through against Barcelona. It's why all you guys drive big cars, and we strongly advise people to gamble responsibly, because everybody saw Barcelona getting through against Roma. So what's the thinking on them this time around?
Yeah, look, I mean, I did say, you wouldn't want to be back in Barcelona at odds on when they had to go to Roma with their 4-1 lead, but Liverpool have found themselves in a precarious position.
Sorry, Leon, did you tip Roma to beat Barcelona? Is that what you're saying there?
I did, yeah.
No chance. Did you?
I did. I tipped them to win the game, Kev. Didn't tip them to qualify.
Oh, sorry.
Tipped them to win the game.
Fair play, yeah.
But like looking at this game, I think everyone would have said for Liverpool, probably Roma would be the side you'd want to face in the semi-final, but they're going in as a very, very short price favourite. I mean, they're 8-15 just to win the home game, and they're 4-11 to qualify. Now, what Kev has said is right. Roma are very poor on the road, but they also haven't conceded a goal at home in the Champions League. So I think Liverpool will be looking, obviously, to take a lead into the second leg, and I think they're quite capable of that. Salah, he's played 10 games in the Champions League. He's got 8 goals and 3 assists. He is the main man. He's the PFA Player of the Year. But I think looking at the odds for first goal, he's probably short enough at 11-4. And I'm looking at the 2 guys who play up front beside him in Firmino and Sadio Mane. Firmino does a lot of work. He's 5-1. Mane has found a bit of goal scoring form of late. He's 6-1. And if you look at Roma, I suppose their main goal threat is Edin Dzeko. He's at 13-2. I think Liverpool will win this. I think they probably need to keep a clean sheet, because I don't think Roma are going to give them too much in the second leg. If you're a Liverpool fan, you'd be happy even with a 1-0 at 8-1. I think just Liverpool keeping a clean sheet is going to be vital tomorrow night.
I think Liverpool score. That's what I think. Liverpool score away from home. Sorry.
It's hard not to see them score on either ground.
That's what I think.
Home or away.
And I know Leon's touched on the home form, Roma, and it's difficult to break down, but 33 goals this season in the Champions League for Liverpool. I cannot see them not scoring in either leg.
So that's to look forward to on Tuesday night. Then Wednesday night, Leon, Bayern against Real Madrid. I mean, Bayern are rejuvenated under Heinkes again, and he seems to really know what he's doing at that club in particular. And then Madrid, in time-honoured tradition, have come alive in the knockout stages. It's like they get the smelling salt this time of year. So they're in Germany, first time out here.
Yeah, look, and I mean, this is very hard to call in terms of qualifying for the final. Munich 20-21 and Madrid 5-6. So close. Munich obviously are favourites at home, and they've got a very, very strong home record. But Madrid, as they do, they'll just be looking to nick that away goal. And you'd probably be a foolish man to bet against Madrid scoring at least one. I think this is going to be a great game. Munich obviously will want to take a lead back to the Bernabeu. They're even money to win at home. Madrid, to me, look a big price here at 13-5. I mean, if you look, Ramos will be back, and I think he's pivotal in terms of Madrid's back four. He organises everything. You saw how much they missed him when Juve nearly caused one of the biggest upsets in Champions League history and nearly knocked Madrid out. But that was because Ramos wasn't playing, and the back four looked all over the place without Ramos to try and lead them. But Lewandowski, he's the favourite. It's not often you see Cristiano Ronaldo not favoured to score first in a game of this magnitude. He's 4-1, and I'm sure we'll get plenty of interest in Ronaldo to open the scoring. I think this is going to be a great game, guys, but for me, it's both teams to score. It's a very short price, but I wouldn't be surprised if Madrid were able to nick this away from home. I think 13-5 just looks a little bit too big for me.
Okay. Leon, thanks a million for that. We'll talk to you. Second legs are next week?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll talk to you next Monday.
All the best, lads.
Thanks, Leon Branch there. Short break, back in a second.
Off the Ball on News Talk.
Here at Charles Tyrwhitt, we use the finest materials and superb craftsmanship to give you the perfect shirt. Smart or casual, we believe you won't find a better fit anywhere else. Choose the fabric, cuffs and collar you want, and with our special News Talk offer of $29.90, you can order online with free delivery. Join our 7,000 Irish customers and order now at ctshirt.com/newstalk to get your shirt for $29.90. Charles Tyrwhitt, the home of proper shirts.
From Grafton Street to Downton Grand, St Stephen's Green to the bright lights of the Strip, the GPO to Bellagio. There's now more ways you can fly to Las Vegas from Dublin with British Airways. Travel in style on new aircraft via Gatwick. Choose first or business class, premium or economy, and get fares with baggage, in-flight entertainment, food and drink included. Bet you're packing already. Book your trip to Las Vegas at your local travel agent or online at BritishAirways.com.
Off the Ball. This is News Talk.
That game was finished at Goodison 1-0 to Everton in the end against Newcastle. It was Walcott with the goal, and it is of virtually no consequence to anyone. Everton up to 8th, Newcastle staying 10th.
Yeah.
So
battle for 9th, wasn't it? Big one.
The big one.
No, it was.
Back-page news tomorrow, that game. It wasn't a great game.
No, you said earlier on it could have been a bit of one that could release themselves a bit and enjoy it, but it certainly didn't materialise like that, no.
I should mention, by the way, tomorrow morning, OTBAM Live, 7:45, Ger will be joined in studio by Cliona Foley, facebook.com/Off the Ball, Twitter and YouTube. Time to tell you as well, our mystery voice winner tonight is...
Angry managers actually aren't good managers, are they? They're angry all the time.
It's the main man.
It is the main man.
It is the main man, Mark Lawrenson, as you all know. Congratulations to Sean Cullen. You are now in the hat, Sean, to win tickets to a Premier League game of your choice next season. Return flights, accommodation, €250 spending money, all thanks to Carling, official beer of the Premier League. If you won that prize and had the choice to the Premier League game of your choice next season, are we talking Man City Liverpool as the most exciting potential?
Oh yeah, well we're judging from Derby. We're judging them from, yeah.
It's got to be City, doesn't it?
I like the Manchester Derby. I've actually been to a few good games this season, but I think that's the best one. I really enjoyed Man United Arsenal or Arsenal Man United at the Emirates, but I'd go with that.
City Liverpool.
I think City Liverpool because you think you're going to get goals, you're going to get entertained. That's the way that I would think.
Yeah, that would be the neutrals' favourite right now.
Yeah.
So. It's a nice choice to have, I suppose. We'll give you another chance to enter that competition tomorrow night. Tom Dunn is on the way very shortly, so you can podcast all of tonight's stuff if you missed anything. We'd Keith Earls in studio earlier on, Eddie O'Sullivan on Monday Night Rugby, and you would have just heard Michael Owen if you're just tuning in. I think it's worth the download. He was good on a range of things. You're at Anfield tomorrow. We'll be right across that game. Graham Souness will join us pre-match. We might talk about Rome 84 as well as the game, and plenty more besides. So we'll see you then. Good luck.